Good evening, everyone, and welcome to our inaugural Florida Patriot honoring legal leader veteran service to country and community. I am Bradley Rosa, Executive Director of the Broward County Bar Association, and one of our two co-hosts for this program. And our second co-host is Courtney Richardson Jones, a prosecutor in Orange County and a JAG officer in the U.S. Army Reserves. Welcome, Courtney.
Thank you for that warm welcome, Braulio. Ladies and gentlemen, we have a great program for you all this evening. As a lawyer and officer currently serving in the Army Reserves, I'm truly honored to co-host this extremely meaningful and long overdue program. This program is my co-host's brainchild. Braulio, can you tell us a little bit more about the genesis of this program?
Yes, and of course, I opened something that I was not supposed to open yet. So, as a veteran myself of the U.S. Navy, there is a quiet but ever-present love of country and humble pride to have served. Over the years, I made a simple observation. In our legal community, we have many vets, but no sort of program of recognition. I understood that we needed to do something to rectify this. And with our sister bar association, since we have an amazing collaboration throughout the state, I reached out to everyone and everyone was on board. And so that's why I'm thrilled that we're doing this program together across the state. So it's a great honor to do it. And talking about love of country, let's welcome Florida Bar President-elect Gary Lesser to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Now hold on one second. Gary, while I pull up our flag here.
Well, Braulio is pulling up the flag. It is my great honor for Braulio to have asked me to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. How appropriate and what a great honor when we are recognizing the Florida Patriots who served our country, who serve our legal profession, and who give service to our community. So it's my great honor. I have the words ready, Braulio.
Okay, doing it right now. Hold on. It's okay.
I pledge
allegiance
allegiance
to
to the flag of the United States of America
and to the
republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, thank you, President-elect Lesser. This event is a true collaboration and it would not be possible without our partner host organizations and their leadership. Let me list their names. Feel free to use Zoom emotes to applaud and cheer for them all as I read their names. Also take pity on me, and if I mess up anyone's name, I do apologize. We have the Palm Beach County Bar Association, Executive Director Carla Tharp Brown and President Julia Wida. North Dade Bar Association, President Richard Chizizar. Escambia Santa Rosa Bar Association, Executive Director Jeff Nall and President Garrett Laborde. Orange County Bar Association, Executive Director Jenny Brown and President Eric Reed. Sarasota County Bar Association, Executive Director Holly Lips and President Dana Keene. Hillsborough County Bar Association, Executive Director John Kynes and President Corey Person. Jacksonville Bar Association, Executive Director Craig Shoup and President Michael Orr. Cuban American Bar Association, President Dax Balo. Broward County Bar Association, President Jamie Buscami. And now Braulio will welcome all the dignitaries who have joined us here. Braulio.
Special thanks to all our dignitaries joining us today. We're thrilled to have you. Feel free to use Zoom emotes to applaud and cheer for them as I read their names. All right, from First Circuit Magistrate Wanda Morgan and Judge Darlene Dickey, Sixth Circuit Judge Julie Circus, Ninth Circuit Judge Elizabeth Gibson, and Judge Tarlika Navarro, used to be one of ours. 11th Judge Jacqueline Keeley O'Connor, Chief Judge Nushin Safey, and of course, I didn't have it here, but Judge Bertie Soto, Chief Emeritus, Judge Betsy Alvarez Zane, Judge Lodi Jean, Judge William Altman, Judge Linda Singer-Stein, Judge Lisa Walsh, Judge Marissa Tinkler Mendez, Judge Scott Janowitz, Judge Zachary James, Judge Carlos Lopez. Boy, Dade's got a lot. That's awesome. Judge Laura Cruz. And now from the 12th, Judge Jack Hillinger, Judge Matt White, Judge Charles Roberts, Judge David Dinkins, Judge Heather Doyle. From the 17th, Chief Judge Jack Tudor, Judge George Odom, Judge Allison Gilman, Judge Betsy Benson, Judge Michael Davis, Judge Susan Alspector, Judge Fabian Fanistock, Judge Stacy Ross, Magistrate Rudy Morrell, Judge Sandra Perlman, and I believe one of our own, who's a federal judge now, Judge Rag Singhal is on also. Thank you to our dignitaries. And next we have the Florida Bar President Michael Tanner, who will provide welcoming remarks. President Tanner.
Thank you, Braulio. Good evening, everyone. It's so good to see all of you. It's so good to see so many friends here on the screen. I was really pleased when Braulio asked me to do this. It's an honor to be here to join with all of you voluntary bar groups to recognize our men and women in uniform, currently in uniform, and our veterans, because you are such an important part of our legal profession and an important link to what is an incredibly important part of our society here in Florida, our men and women in uniform. We have 21 active bases in the state of Florida. We have 1.5 million veterans in the state of Florida, which makes us, I think, the most, if not the most military-friendly state, certainly one of the most military-friendly states in the country. And I recently learned that Broward County actually numbers 3rd among Florida counties in the size of its veterans population. A little closer to home, my son-in-law is a Naval Academy graduate, U.S. Naval Academy graduate, former aviator, did part of his training at NAS Pensacola. Hello, Garrett. And he did the rest of his training at Whiting Field. And so I know firsthand the challenges that a young military family faces. And I'm very proud of the work that our bar does, our Florida bar does, and our voluntary bars do to bring military families in, and also to be a resource to address the needs of military families, particularly young military families, because they often are among our most vulnerable in our society. And so it is an honor to be here tonight on behalf of the 110,000 members of our Florida Bar to thank our military members for your service to our country, to our state, and to our profession. And I particularly want to salute and congratulate those outstanding public servants who are being honored here tonight. And again, Braulio, thank you for inviting me to be here. And it's great to see everybody.
Thank you, President Tanner, for those fantastic welcoming remarks. And now Judge Michael Bag Hernandez of the 13th Judicial Circuit will introduce our keynote speaker. Judge Hernandez.
Judge, can you hold on one sec? I'm sorry, but we were remiss in something. We left off one of the greatest bar associations in the state, and my dear colleague, the Lieutenant Governor, Melissa Byers, and her president, Laura Rubenstein. Mea culpa, mea culpa. You guys are awesome. Thank you for everything you do. Judge Baggy Hernandez.
All right, thank you so much. First of all, congratulations to all the award recipients on this well-deserved recognition. Secondly, please excuse my voice whenever there is a change in climate. I think this happens to pretty much all Floridians, but at least this Floridian, I lose my voice. So bear with me, but I just couldn't escape an opportunity to introduce our keynote speaker tonight, my mentor and friend, Maria Chapel Lopez. A graduate of the University of Texas and the South Texas College of Law, she started her legal career as a United States Army JAG Corps officer, where she served for 11 years, handling prosecution, defense, and probable cause officer roles. She also represented the United States Army in civil matters involving multi-million-dollar contract and procurement fraud. After her time with the United States Army had ended, she went to the United States Attorney's Office in the Middle District of Florida, where she prosecuted large-scale drug organizations, both domestically and abroad, among other things. She also traveled on behalf of the Department of Justice throughout Latin America, training prosecutors, lawyers, and law enforcement in countries that were transitioning from the inquisitorial system to the accusatorial system. And Maria, if I'm not mistaken, I think you and I were on a couple of those trips together. In 2016, in 2016, she represented the United States interests in Mexico as a Department of Justice deputy attaché. And in January 2018, she returned to the Middle District of Florida as its 20th U.S. attorney. Currently, she's consulting with the United Nations Office of Drug and Crime, where she travels throughout Latin America, giving law enforcement advice to our neighbors to the south, which is a perfect job for Maria because she has a plethora of experience and she has a little bit of a travel bug. Ladies and gentlemen, it's absolutely my pleasure to introduce our keynote speaker tonight, Maria Chapa-Lopez.
Thank you so much, Michael. I hope everybody can hear me. I hope so. Okay, thank you for that, Mike. And thank you so much, Michael, for that lovely introduction. It's kind of hard to hear a description of yourself coming from somebody else, but I really appreciate it. Before I get into my keynote address about the pride I have for being in the military, I want to thank Braulio also for the invitation, Michael for suggesting me, and then Braulio for the invitation to be here today, and all the local bar associations, the county bar associations. It's my honor to be here and to speak to you on what I think is a very important holiday that we're coming up on, or a day that we're coming up on, which is Veterans Day. Every year I try to do something grand, I thought, in our office to recognize that. It's certainly not for myself, but for all of you who serve. And I'm honored to be here to honor all of you who have served in all our services. I'm proud to have been a U.S. Army JAG officer on active duty for 11 years, and then the rest of my time in the reserves. But people ask me, to get into this, people always ask me if you had anything to do again, or do you have any regrets about having joined the military, or would you do everything the same way that you've done in your career? And the answer would be absolutely yes. There is no doubt that the best decision I ever made in my life was to join the United States Army, to join our military. But for me, the best choice was the United States Army. Proud to be to have been a JAG Corps officer. Still very proud to be part of the Reserve JAG Corps, the retired JAG Corps service. It never leaves you. It never leaves you. You carry it with you and the rest of your whole career. I also would like to take the time to thank the families of our veterans. We cannot serve without the support of our families, the sacrifice that our families make to be away from us. That is, they may not wear the uniform, but they certainly do perform, and they certainly deserve our most respect and our thank you as our family members as veterans. Again, would I change anything? Absolutely not. As Michael described my career, I don't think I would have been able to do any of that had I not served in the Army, had I not chosen to serve in the Army or to serve in the military. My entire career has been working side by side with the military, although I left after 11 years. The active duty role, I went to the United States Attorney's Office here in the Middle District of Florida. I was so proud and excited to be with the Department of Justice, but I stayed in the reserves. But where my career led me, though, was to be as Michael mentioned, a narcotics prosecutor. And who do narcotics prosecutors work with closely, side by side, day in, day out, in order to successfully perform our mission, is with the United States Coast Guard. So although I was a U.S. Army officer, I feel very close and grateful and a kinship to the U.S. Coast Guard. Again, thank you to them for their sacrifice and the dangerous mission that they're on. That is not always recognized and not always I think those of us who are in the military understand that and are grateful to them, but I don't think that they're always like the number one service that comes to mind when we think about sacrifice as a veteran. The reason I joined the military was twofold. Was one, because I was excited about the idea of getting into the courtroom right away, because that's what everybody said happens in the JAG Corps. But the second was because as you know, I'm a Hispanic. My parents came from Mexico, first generation American born. And the way they raised my siblings and I was to be grateful to this nation, to give back to this nation, to lead when you can, and share what you know, what you've been blessed with, and all the gifts that you've been given by having been born in this country and having been able to live in this country. And so I, again, am so grateful to have been here. As Michael mentioned, I've gotten the opportunity to travel all over the world and see great, beautiful, and wonderful places, but it's always great to come home and to know that whatever you're doing out in the world, you're representing the United States. And it is my responsibility and my duty to have done that, to continue to do that. Although I'm with the United Nations now, I feel like my mission is continuing in that I am sharing what I've been blessed with throughout my career with prosecutors and law enforcement in those countries, so that they can then also do the best that they can on behalf of their countries. But also, although I'm not with the government, working with the government as the United Nations representative, it is my job and my goal to assist those countries so that in the narcotics realm, so that our country is not affected by the trafficking of methamphetamine, fentanyl, or control it to some degree, fentanyl, cocaine, methamphetamine, all these horrendous things that are impacting our communities here in Florida and here in our country. So I know I've hit my 5-minute limit, but again, congratulations to all the honorees. Congratulations to the Florida Bar Associations, and to all of you veterans. Thank you again so much for your service. I am proud to be among you. And again, Braulio, thank you for the invitation, but there is no, all I can say is hooah, go US Army. And I know all of you services have your own sayings, but I am very, very proud to be among you, and very proud and honored to be here tonight. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Hua to you. Thank you for your service. I have on, you probably can't see it, but I have on my Army green.
I saw that. Yes, I saw that. And I gave you a thumbs up. So yes.
Thank you, Maria Chapa Lopez, for telling us about your experiences, your why for joining, and those overall inspirational remarks. And now Braulio for a short word from our sponsors.
Thank you, Courtney. And next up, a big thank you to our event and platinum sponsors. We're grateful for your support, for supporting veterans. And so here we go. Scott Westheimer, Kelly Eustall, Halitzer Pettis Schwam, Cash Now Funding, Gunster, Hill Ward Henderson, Kelly Cronenberg, Weiss Sirota, Keller Landsberg, Florida Lawyers Mutual Insurance Company, and Lorna Brown Burton. And I have one short video for you. And so bear with me. I will play that. Let me just.
My name is Corey Person, and I'm the president of the Hillsborough County Bar Association. I would like to extend congratulations to my colleague and partner, Matt Hall, for being selected and recognized as the Florida Patriot legal leader from the 13th Circuit. Hill Ward Henderson is proud to sponsor this worthy event, and thank all of the Florida Patriots for your service to our country and our profession.
We here at Halitzer Pettis Schwam are so pleased to be able to sponsor today's event, recognizing our veterans, celebrating our heroes, past and present. And we pray that God will protect those who are currently serving both at home and abroad. To those of you who are being honored today, I speak for everyone at HPS when I say thank you for your service and the sacrifice that you've made in protecting our great country.
Thank you again to our sponsors. We could not do it without you. And now Courtney will announce the 2021 Florida Patriot Legal Leaders. And bear with me, I will pull that up for you.
Our Florida Patriot legal honorees are, Judge Edward Morgan. Judge Edward Merrigan of the 17th Judicial Circuit. Judge Mose Floyd from the 4th Circuit. Judge Stephen Berlin from the Sixth Circuit, Judge Daryl Tarwick of the 11th Judicial Circuit.
Judge, I'll help you. I'm sorry. Judge Lee Hayworth from Sarasota. Which circuit is that?
12th Circuit.
Well,
Judge Matthew Hall
well,
from
not
the,
Esquire.
oh,
Sorry.
oh, sorry, Matthew Hall, Esquire of the 13th Judicial Circuit.
And did you see the cool flag he has behind him on his picture? That's why I picked that one. That's kind of cool.
And then I need your help because I can't see the bottom name.
Oh, Judge Jerry Brewer from
From the Ninth Circuit. That's my
Ninth
circuit.
That's your circuit.
Yeah. Again, can't see the bottom.
Judge Luis Delgado from Palm Beach,
Which 15th Circuit.
15th.
Judge Gary Burgosh from what
First.
circuit are we? First Circuit.
Okay, and so now we are getting to the meat and the potatoes. We're going to take on a county by county trip, basically, to recognize each honoree, starting with Judge Edward Merrigan, my own judge here in the 17th. He will be introduced and recognized by our Chief Judge, Jack Tudor, and Broward County Bar Association President Jamie Finizio Bascom. Chief and Jamie, the floor is yours.
All right, we're going to bring on our chief judge to start off our program here, but I'm Jamie Finizio Bascom, as you heard, and we are very honored to be hosting this event here. This again is one of Braulio's creative ideas. So we'll start off with Chief Judge Tudor, who will have a few words and talk a little bit about what we're doing here in Broward County. Chief?
Thank you, Jamie. Good evening, everyone. First, there's a lot of folks to thank here for putting this program together. Braulio and the entire state. Braulio has done a good job of putting the 17th Judicial Circuit on the map by hosting these statewide events. So to all of my colleagues who were remote and all of my colleagues who were here with the Bar Association, I welcome all of you and thank you for attending this well-deserved event, which we are going to make annual. We're here to honor our veterans, and I'm here to speak a little bit about Judge Merrigan and the event in general. Judge Merrigan blessed us in 2018 in the jury room over at the main courthouse with permitting us to attend his ceremony where he was made a brigadier general, correct? Brigadier general, I got the rank right. He's made sure that I advise everybody who's watching remotely and everybody who's in the room to know that he outranks all of the other judges throughout the state. Judge Merrigan has been in our criminal division for many years. He hosts our Veterans Court and has done that for many years. And he also is on military duty. So when Judge Merrigan is at the courthouse, he's giving orders. When he goes on duty, he's giving orders. But when he comes home, I understand it's not the exact same situation at home. He's taking a lot of orders. For those of you who don't know Ed, he is one of the most genuine people you'll ever meet. And it's buttressed by all the folks who are in this room right now here at the Broward County Bar that are both his friends and his family and people that have known him his entire life. You couldn't sit down with a person and have a more cordial conversation about any subject in the world than you would with Ed. He's just a genuinely wonderful person. He's a great judge. He's a friend and colleague. So I want to just say many good things about Ed. But before I sit down, the other thing I think we should remember this week is all of the 18 and 19-year-old kids who volunteer to go to military service and put their lives in harm's way. They're not like the officers, but they are the ones who take the brunt of military service. And so every time I see a program where some kid is killed in one of the foreign wars we've been engaged in the last 20 years, it's just heart-wrenching to think that someone didn't get to live out their life like we did. And because of that person, we're all sitting in this room today. And for all those people up in Washington
Exactly.
who want to say bad things about our country, I say, you know, you should be ashamed of yourself. This is one great country.
No.
These are great folks who serve in the military to preserve our freedoms. And so on behalf of everybody here in this circuit and to all of the persons who are being honored throughout the state, We say thank you for your service, and thank you all very much for attending tonight.
Thank you, Judge, Chief Judge. Absolutely. And you wore the tie today. We have all the colors going for our Veterans Day week. And I was raised the same way. Ed and I have talked about this, and he knew my father. Many of you did. He was in the Navy in the Philippine theater. He actually fibbed about his age at 17 to go in. So you're right, Judge. He was like, I'm going to go and do some great things. 17 years old, went over in an ammo ship and realized, wow, this is serious stuff. So he wound up coming back, never really talked about what happened there. And then we found all these medals and we're like, wow. So you all are rock stars. I mean, and you're quiet about it. And that's what's a really an amazing thing when you meet military people, that they really don't need to even wear those badges because they are so proud internally of what they've done. And I know you carry, when you wear yours, you have about 100 of them on there. Tamara and I were talking about that. Each one of them means something. And it's so, so special. So I have a very deep love in my heart of the military. I was raised saying yes sir, no sir. We saluted practically in my house. And it taught me a lesson. And it wasn't because he was being egotistical. He wanted us to respect that and to know that that was important. And when I see a military person, I always thank them for their service. So you're right, Chief Judge. When people say we got the best system out there and we are the best place to live in the entire universe. So I'm honored to be here this evening to be able to talk about my friend, who is someone who a lot of people don't know, that don't come in front of you or haven't really dealt with you, because you are one of those people who are very stealth about what you do and you just make things happen. And you don't talk about it. So when you first came in front of us, I was honored to be on the JNC when you first came through back in 2009, actually. So at that time, I didn't know a lot about you. I knew you kind of socially. And when we looked at your application and what you had going on, we said, wow, this guy's unbelievable. And the service that you've given and the type of demeanor that you would have that we look for in a judge. And all the criteria that I had for my checklist was checked off for you. So clearly you got the appointment immediately at that time. And then Judge Merrigan went on to get the circuit appointment thereafter. That was in 2014, was that right? And then he's done amazing things the whole time he's been there. But the reason that we're so honored about the court system here and what we're doing with the chief is the veterans program that was started. And that was something that was so needed in our community, and just sort of like what we did with the mental health, with the mental health court, was watching things not work and just continuing to put these people into a situation in jail or in somewhere where they couldn't get out. And now you've given them ways to try to help them and understand them and get them to improve and to not be a part of the system. And that's incredible what you've done. So Brigadier General Edward H. Merrigan, Jr., Deputy Commanding General of the 84th Training Command. Learned all these things by reading his bio. Wow, very impressive. Started out at the 83rd Troop Command. He was in Operation Iraqi Freedom 2 and was promoted to Lieutenant Colonel at that time, and then was assigned as a staff officer of the 350 Civil Affairs Command, and then screened and selected for Battalion Command, and then commissioned to the 478th Civil Air Force Battalion for over 3 years. And then Brigadier took command of the 308th Civil Affairs Brigade in Homewood, Illinois. And after that command, we were selected as the Chief of Staff for the 108th Training Command in Charlotte, North Carolina. Upon promotion to Brigadier General, which you heard about, which he honored our county by choosing to do that at our courthouse, which was a really neat thing. And many of us were there, and that was really special because that's something that really went on the map for Broward County. And it was a beautiful ceremony. And at that time, upon being promoted, you were selected as the Division Commander of the Great Lakes Training Division, 84th Training Command. Some of the things that the medals that he's obtained, it's incredible. There's a whole list here of all of the special ribbons and medals and badges: parachute badge, German Army parachute badge, Humanitarian Service Medal, Armed Forces Reserve Medal with bronze hourglass, Army Service Ribbon, Army Achievement Medal. Incredible, all of these. And I know that your beautiful daughters that I know one couldn't be here tonight. So we have, Annie couldn't be here, but Mimi's here tonight. And of course, your amazing wife who does give you orders. I know that I've watched it, Tamara, who's here, who's the one lawyer who doesn't necessarily, that you don't necessarily outrank. So I know that she's brilliant in her own right too. And so you have an incredible, impeccable resume of what you've done. And there's only more and more that I know you'll continue to accomplish here in Broward County for us. So we are honored as a bar, and we are honored as lawyers of the bar to have to be coming in front of you and to have you making a change and bettering our community and everything that you do. So with that, we are going to present you, and this is a benefit of being on the home field because we get to go first, and we get to present to you the Florida Patriot Award, presented to the Honorable Edward H. Merrigan in recognition and gratitude for your support and service to our county and community today's date. And we are so happy to have you here with us. And thank you for all you do. Right.
Well, I want to thank everybody for being here. I want to thank the Florida Bar and Mr. Tanner, Mr. Lesser for recognizing all the amazing legal veteran patriots with this distinguished award. I want to thank Ms. Lopez for your remarks, and I'd like to especially thank Braulio and Jamie and Jack for nominating me and for being here to recognize all these legal veteran leaders throughout the state. I want to thank Tamara and Mimi for being here, and thanks Annie for being online. I want to thank all my family and friends for being here to help to support me in the support of this award. It's been my honor to serve as a veteran and to serve the veterans of Broward County. In the past week, I had an opportunity. I just got back from Fort Knox, Kentucky. I was in the BOQ on Thursday night, and I got an opportunity to watch the funeral of Colin Powell. And it got me to thinking about servants and veteran servants and proud veterans of our country. And I couldn't think of a more distinguished veteran. And so as I was sitting there and I'm looking at Colin Powell and I'm thinking about this man who was commissioned as an infantry lieutenant in 1958. And this was 11 years after our armed forces were desegregated, right? And it was 7 years before the Civil Rights Act of 1965. So he went to his initial military training at Fort Benning in Columbus, Georgia. He and his wife couldn't go out to the restaurants to eat. And he went through that training. He qualified as an airborne paratrooper and as a ranger, was an infantry officer. He served in Vietnam as an advisor. He served twice in Vietnam. He was a battalion commander or a corps commander. He was in the National Security Committee. And he rose to become the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff. As a matter of fact, when I was a lieutenant, he was the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff. And he was just really a remarkable man. And if you ever get a chance to read My American Journey, his book, please do so. But during the course of his eulogy, his son Michael stood up in front of the people gathered in the National Cathedral. And he read a quote from Ralph Waldo Emerson. And it really impacted me, this quote. And so I wrote it down. And the quote from Ralph Waldo Emerson was, "The purpose of life is not to be happy. It is to be useful, to be honorable, to be compassionate, to have it make some difference that you have lived and lived well." So I thought this was a really powerful quote, except for the one point. And I'm going to have to take issue with Ralph Waldo Emerson and his transcendentalist followers, because I believe that you can be happy and be useful, that you can be happy and be honorable, that you can be happy and be compassionate, and to be happy to have made some difference, that you have lived life well. Thank you all for this distinct honor. It's been my honor to serve in the military, to serve as a judge in this great circuit. I will continue for as long as I have breath in my lungs to strive to live well. And as a veteran and patriot, I thank you. Thank you very much.
Braulio, you're muted.
That is the quote of the last year and a half, right? Thank you, Chief Judge Tudor and Jamie. A round of applause for Judge Merrigan, one of my own. And fun fact, which I think President Tanner had already mentioned, I had one of these. Stole my thunder, but good for you, President Tanner. Florida has the third largest amount of veterans in the United States, following Texas and California. And now we're going to go to Jacksonville. And please note that we are in pandemic, so UPS is not functioning quite the way that they should be. So some of the awards did not, despite overnighting them last week. And Jacksonville is one of those. So mea culpa on that. But it will be there tomorrow, President Orr and Your Honor. So with that, Judge Mose Floyd will be recognized by President Michael Orr. Take it away, Jacksonville.
Thank you. Tonight, I have the honor and privilege to introduce an amazing individual and hardworking jurist. Judge Mose Floyd has been a Duval County Court judge for 10 years. And prior to his appointment to the bench, Judge Floyd was an assistant state attorney here in North Florida. He was an accomplished prosecutor with a 96% felony conviction rate. And before that, he served our country in the United States Marine Corps from 1977 to 1999. He served as a professional Marine Corps logistics officer, earning increasingly more responsibility in complex assignments involving retail supply, integrated logistics, material management, physical distribution, training, human resources, research, development and acquisition, and government contract management. He progressed through middle management positions, culminating with an assignment as the Deputy Director for Ground Weapons Systems Management. His awards include Defense Meritorious Service Medal, 3 Navy Meritorious Service Medals, Navy Commendation Medal, Joint Service Achievement Medal, and Navy Achievement Medal. Currently, Judge Floyd oversees the Duval County Veterans Treatment Court, which serves as a national model for veteran courts. Congratulations, Judge Floyd, and on behalf of the Jacksonville Bar and the Fourth Judicial Circuit, we are very proud of you and thankful for your service to our country and our profession. Judge.
Thank you so much, Michael, for that warm intro. And thank you all for putting this event on. And is great, with great humility, I accept this award. My sense of service to this country began at an early age. I was born to elderly parents, 10 of 12 children over in the Panhandle area. Father and mother had little or no education. Dad never went to school at all. Taught himself to read and write. Did anything he needed to do to keep his big family together. Taught himself to repair guns, watches, radios, televisions, ran a 5 and dime store, got on a truck and peddled fruits and vegetables in the Panhandle area. But he could not have kept that big family together without the safety net of our country. And I've always felt a deep sense of gratitude because the country allowed him to keep that big family together. None of us spent a day behind bars. And I was the first kid to go to college. I was educated in high school by the time integration was being enforced. And we went to blacks were bused into this white school, and a lot of us sort of gave up. But there was one black English teacher that pulled me aside one day and said, "Mose, why aren't you applying yourself?" And I said, "There's no way I'm gonna get a scholarship here. My dad can't afford to send me to college." And he says, "Why don't you apply yourself and make him say no? What do you have to lose?" And I said, "What do I have to lose?" So I applied myself and got a few scholarships, one to the appointment to the Naval Academy, Air Force Academy, and I chose the Naval Academy and then a career in the Marine Corps. And I thought I was going to do my 5-year obligation to get out. But the thing I noticed was that in the Marine Corps, we were about twice the representation of the country's Black population in the Marine Corps in the enlisted ranks. But in the officer ranks, we were less than half represented by the Black officers. And most of the Black officers were in the lower company grade ranks. And I knew I had to stick around because we needed to populate our officer ranks so that those in enlisted ranks could feel they were really a part of the Marine Corps. So I ended up spending 22 years in the Marine Corps and loved every bit of it, leading Marines of all stripes and colors. And but the thing that really warmed my heart was when those young Marines saw me. They were grinning ear to ear when they saluted. They would rush to salute me because they were being represented in the officer ranks. So that was my service there. And I knew I wanted to serve after the Marine Corps. So I decided to go into defense attorney work. And I was going to go to law school at night. Many advised me not to do so. And I had gotten a master's degree from USC at night. I said, how much harder can it be to go to law school? Fortunately, I've been accepted into Georgetown Law, and I was rudely awakened in law school. But Dad taught me that hard work was a virtue, and I stuck it out. And I pursued a career. I wanted to go. My thing was equal justice. I wanted to come back to the South and represent those who were underrepresented, underprivileged, and couldn't afford good counsel. But sorry about the bad things going on with the lights. I got intercepted by Harry Shorstein, the state attorney here. And I wanted him to introduce me to the defense bar, but I never made it out of his office because he said I could do so much more to achieve equal justice on the prosecution side than I could on the defense bar. And no truer words were spoken. I spent 12 years there trying to ensure that regardless of the backgrounds, colors, that the same justice was being administered across the board. And fortunately, I was appointed to the bench in 2011, and soon after, about 4 or 5 years after, appointed to the Veterans Treatment Court bench. And that is the best thing I do every week, is pulling veterans out of the criminal justice system, getting them the help that they need. It's a 1-year tough program, but in the end, the families are reunited, their records are cleaned up, and they're back on their feet. Guys have gone from putting a gun in their mouth to being breadwinners and leaders in their family again after the end of that program. And the local bar association asked me to lead the Veterans Affairs and Military Affairs committee in the bar a few years ago, and COVID sort of set us aside. But we contributed $5,000 to a nonprofit organization supporting Veterans Treatment Court. And this next weekend, we're putting on a Welcome Home Vietnam Veterans event. That is to correct the wrong of about 50 years ago when our veterans came back and were greeted with jeers. Some were spat upon, some were forced to take the uniforms off in airports. They should have been welcomed back as heroes, but everything but. We're going to bring all of our veterans back this weekend and give them the welcome that they so richly deserve. Families and neighbors waving banners. Come back in to be serenaded by the Navy band, fed a great meal, a lot of patriotic programs. And our guest speakers are going to be Rocky Blyer, a wounded warrior from Vietnam, 4-time Super Bowl hero with the Pittsburgh Steelers. And they're going to be made to feel welcome when they weren't. And I expect there's going to be a lot of tears and broad grins there as well. But that's been my life. I always felt that I wanted to give back, and this appointment to the bench and on the committee with the Jacks Bar and Veterans Treatment Court has allowed me to do so. So I am overwhelmed with the award tonight, and thank you for taking the time to do so. Thank you all.
Thank you, President Orr, and a round of applause for Judge Mose Floyd. Our fun fact is that Florida has 1.1 million wartime veterans, which I think our president stole as well. And now to St. Pete, where Judge Steve Berlin will be recognized by President Lauren Rubenstein. President Rubenstein, the floor is yours.
Thank you. It's my absolute honor to join everyone this evening as we celebrate the service of our esteemed judiciary and our colleagues. I am also pleased to introduce everyone to the Sixth Circuit honoree, the Honorable Steve Berlin. Judge Berlin serves as a family judge in St. Petersburg. Prior to his appointment to the circuit bench, he served as the Pinellas County South County traffic judge. Judge Berlin is a graduate of the U.S. Military Academy, University of Florida 11 College of Law, go Gators, and the Judge Advocate General's Legal Center and School. Judge Berlin served in the U.S. Army for over 20 years. He began his career as an Army officer in the field artillery. As an Army judge advocate, he was a member of the Army's first special victim prosecutors, in-house counsel at U.S. Special Operations and Central Commands, an Army legal advisor in Iraq, the staff judge advocate for the Combined Joint Interagency Task Force Syria. And when asked why he chose to serve, Judge Berlin shared that his mother grew up in war-torn Vietnam, and based upon all of what the United States provided his mother, he felt drawn to serve. Judge Berlin recently created the Tampa Bay Veteran Legal Networking and Mentorship Consortium to reduce loneliness and provide mentorship to local attorney veterans with similar backgrounds. In his words, being a veteran can be lonely, being an attorney can be lonely, being a veteran attorney even more so. We can share camaraderie with people with similar interests and backgrounds. Senior attorneys and paralegals can help junior counterparts. With the Tampa Bay uniquely centered between two law schools, Judge Berlin also wanted to help veteran students transition into their legal career. When asked about his time serving in the U.S. Army, Judge Berlin shared the following. One thing that was consistent was that I was surrounded by amazing people who selflessly gave their time to help each other achieve the mission, no matter how difficult. It's my honor and pleasure to present this award to Judge Berlin to celebrate his service to the military, the bench, the law, and our community. Congratulations, Judge Berlin.
Thank you very much, Lauren and Melissa, for nominating me for this honor. It's two things I just wanted to mention. One, I think veterans helping veterans is just really important. It takes a team to do so. Teams like my friend Matthew Hall, who's going to be recognized soon. Matt and I, Matt helped me. So when I came here into the Tampa Bay area, I was assigned to McDill, and he was established in the legal community, and he helped me transition. And then with that, though, in the years that we've known each other, we said, hey, we're going to do something, but we're going to figure it out when it comes along. And this is a big thing of what we're doing here. But it takes teams like that. But it also takes teams with the bar associations. You don't have to be a veteran to help veterans. We help each other in different ways. And it's with the resources from St. Petersburg Bar, I also see Clearwater Bars here from Pinellas County. And it's those resources with the teams, the staff, and all the people there is very helpful in doing our mission here. Another thing I just really want to say about why it was so important for me to become a judge is that I think we all see here as veterans, especially from what we've seen around the world, but I think we all kind of seen it by watching what happened in Afghanistan. Afghanistan is not unique. A lot of countries are like that. We just don't see it. We don't know it. We don't feel it. But one thing that makes America exceptional is the rule of law. It's a place where the judiciary or the judicial system is designed to be fair and impartial for everyone, so we can all stand equally. And it's within a fair and impartial judicial system is that we can help overcome biases and so forth, so people can excel. My mom told me yesterday that my aunt, who's in Vietnam, she just got stiffed in a deal to sell. I think it was yucca roots. She had like an acre of it that she planted. Someone was going to buy it all, and then the person absconded. I said, well, what's she going to do about it? And thankfully, she was able to get some people to sell them at local markets, and she did okay. But she says there's nothing. There's nothing you can do about it because there's no place for people to seek redress. So it's so important that we have the fair and impartial judicial system, but we all contribute here, not only just judges, but the attorneys who come here and bring cases, the attorneys on both sides, all the support teams, and even the bar associations with that. So with that, I want to say thank you. And as popularized by Dan Crenshaw and Pete Davidson on Saturday Night Live a few years ago, for this Veterans Day, I want to say never forget.
Thank you, President Rubenstein. A round of applause for Judge Steve Berlin. Fact, 3% of Florida's veterans reside in Dade County. Talking about Dade County, Judge Daryl Trawick will be recognized by Chief Judge Nushin Saifi, Cabinet President Dax Bello, and I believe we have our Chief Judge Emeritus, Bertie Soto, on also. Take it away. Floor is yours.
Thank you, Braulio. Again, Dax Bello on behalf of the Cuban American Bar Association. Cal is incredibly honored to be a part of this event, along with the North Dade Bar Association, who's our partner here. Braulio, this is a wonderful event. Thank you for putting it on. I'm going to make this quick because there are far more important people to hear from than me. But my dad, once upon a time, told me anytime you see someone in the military, whether they're wearing their uniform or someone you know to be in the military, be sure to thank them for their service, because the freedoms and the rights that we enjoy are directly caused by their sacrifices and their time away from their families. So I always do that, and I'd like to take this opportunity to thank all of our men and women who have spent time in the armed forces that are here with us today. When Braulio reached out to Chief Judge Emeritus Soto and I about who we should nominate for this event, we both came up with the same person almost immediately. It was almost like one of those jinx moments. And so I would like for Chief Judge Emeritus Soto to say a few words at this time.
Hi, everyone. What a pleasure and what an honor to be here to honor all of you, especially our own Daryl Trawick, Judge Trawick. My three brothers were in the armed forces. I come from an immigrant family. My parents also taught me the importance, and my brothers, the importance of service. President Reagan used to say, we're blessed with the opportunity to stand for something, for liberty and freedom and fairness. And these are the things worth fighting for, worth devoting our lives to. And Daryl is one of those special people who's done that through his service. He was in the Air Force, I believe. He's a former federal prosecutor, but he was in the Air Force, right? And Judge Trawick, and an Air Force veteran, and the former staff member of the Judge Advocate Office. And I was the administrative judge of criminal, and we worked in domestic violence. He's always been a proponent for veterans' rights and veterans' courts. When we opened our own veterans' court, even though he was not in the division where it was going to be, he was the first one to raise his hand and said, I want to be part of that. I want to make sure it runs smoothly. I want to make sure that the services given to our veterans that come through our court system are served right, and that we know what we're doing. He's always run his courtroom like a tight ship, just like someone you'd expect from the military. And I could not be prouder of Daryl for his service, not only in our court system, but for our country. He's a living example of a true patriot. And I am very honored, as is Dax, and I know Chief Judge Saifi, to have him, to call him colleague. We love him very much. And we're so very proud of you, Daryl. Thank you for everything you've done for us and for our county and for the country. So I think I'm going to pass the baton to Judge Saifi, Chief Judge Saifi, so she can say a few words. Thank you, Daryl.
She's passing the baton to me, but she stole some of my material. Thanks, Soto.
Oops.
But it's such an honor to present my friend and colleague, the Honorable Daryl Trawick, with an inaugural Florida Patriot Award. And I want to say thank you to Braulio and to the Broward Bar for coming up with this. I think it's wonderful, and I think it's so perfect that it's going to be happening during the week of Veterans Day. As judges, we're all public servants. It's a noble privilege. But I think, as all of us know, especially those of us who preside over jury trials, when we have to explain the law and jury duty to often reluctant jurors, we explain to them about liberty and due process. And I don't know about you all, but I always make sure that I explain to them that we're charged with guaranteeing these privileges that are enjoyed by all Americans, but are fought for and are really guaranteed for us by the soldiers that are willing to go out there and fight for it. that are always frankly ready to protect it. And I always tell jurors that jury duty is an incredibly patriotic endeavor. I think voting is a patriotic endeavor. And I think for most of us, those are the most patriotic things we'll ever get to do in our lives, but nothing compares to the patriotism of our soldiers. And it is so wonderful that we're getting to recognize the service of one of our own. And so as Judge Soto touched on, Daryl Trawick had a 23-year military career, an entire career separate and apart from his judicial career. It's amazing, both active duty and in the reserves. And as she said, he was with the Judge Advocate General in the U.S. Air Force. And in 1985, he became a JAG, and he had gotten at least, I think it looks like 4 awards, 1 Air Force Meritorious Medal and 3 Air Force Commendation Medals. In late 1989, he joined the reserves, but then in 1991, he went back and he volunteered to serve during Desert Storm. And later on, again, he received 2 more awards, the Joint Service Commendation Medals. After reaching the rank of Lieutenant Colonel, Judge Trawick was appointed to the position of Reserve Military Judge in 2001 and served with honor in that position until his retirement from the military in 2006. He served our country again, as I stated earlier, in that capacity for 23 years. So while he was doing all that in his free time, he was also an assistant U.S. attorney. He became a chief at the U.S. Attorney's Office in the Southern District, which is one of the busiest offices in the country, before being appointed to the county bench in 1997, and then elevated to the circuit bench in 2000. And he served in actually almost all of our divisions, the civil division, the family division, the criminal division. And like a good soldier, he volunteered to serve as one of the only three judges in the appellate division while he was serving in a full-time division elsewhere. He's a dedicated colleague, clearly, and he goes above and beyond, clearly, and he volunteers, again, like the good soldier he is when we need him. And he's such a great example for other judges. He's an adjunct professor also at Miami-Dade College, as well as St. Thomas Law School. So he gets to pass on his wisdom and experience and dedication and work ethic and everything else to young minds as well. And if all this isn't enough, his greatest accomplishment is his family. And I can say this because I know them. His incredible wife, Charlotte, is a teacher and taught all 3 of my children. So I know firsthand that she is definitely, I'm sure, definitely very much part of Judge Trawick's backbone and his 3 beautiful children. So Judge Trawick, on behalf of all of your colleagues, we salute you. And we are so happy that you're being recognized among all these other great heroes with this honor.
So I just want to take this opportunity to present Judge Trawick with this beautiful award on behalf of, frankly, all the people in this country and all the voluntary bar associations. Thank you, Judge Trawick, for your service. You are a true patriot.
Thank you. Thank you, Dax. Wow. I want to thank everyone involved in presenting this award. And I'd like to give special thanks to my Chief Judge Emeritus, Bertie Soto. We've served together as judges in the 11th Circuit more years than I want to say, since we were county court judges. And I want to thank her for her support throughout the years. And I'd also like to thank our current Chief Judge, Yushin Saifi, for those wonderful words and for her support throughout the years, both as Chief Judge and Administrative Judge of the Criminal Division. I also want to thank all of my fellow judges of the 11th Judicial Circuit, not only those that are here on this call, and I really I'm humbled and honored that you're here, but I want to thank everybody who's not here as well. We have a great circuit, great people, and I'm honored to be a part of it. I also want to thank Dax and the Cuban American Bar Association, as well as Braulio with Broward Bar, and as well as the North Dade Bar and the Florida Bar for putting this on. I see Mike Orr up there in Jacksonville. I want to give a shout out to him as well. I come from a military family. My grandfather, my mother's father, who served in the Navy as a cook on a ship during World War II. Those were the days of a segregated military, and African Americans were relegated to menial positions. My father was a lieutenant in the United States Army, And those were the days soon after integration in the Army. And he experienced some discrimination there as an Army officer. I haven't forgotten the sacrifices that people like my father and my grandfather have made, and all the African Americans with all their experiences that have been both good and bad, such as the Tuskegee Airmen. I want them to know that their experiences, the soldiers, the sailors, and airmen who have lived through some pretty bad times, have not been forgotten. And those experiences and the lessons learned as a result became part of me in my time as an Air Force officer. As a senior in high school, I wasn't thinking about going into the military. I intended to go to college as a pre-med major. That didn't last long. Then I received a letter from the Air Force ROTC telling me that my grades were so good on the ACT that if I applied, I almost would be guaranteed getting a scholarship. And my father said no son of his was going into the Army, Air Force, or the Navy. That this wasn't going to happen. However, we had an Air Force officer come by and speak to my father. And after he finished, my father was asking for scholarships for all three of his sons. Needless to say, I received a full Air Force ROTC scholarship and attended the University of Miami, and the rest is history. I loved my career as an Air Force officer, as a JAG, and in my time on active duty, I was assigned at 3 different bases, including in the Pacific Theater. After leaving active duty, I went into the reserves and was stationed at Homestead Air Force Base. And a little after a year, I was recalled to active duty during Desert Storm and was able to have a good experience through that period. The following year, if that wasn't enough, I was with about 500 people from my unit at Homestead on temporary duty in Italy when Hurricane Andrew hit our base. And we got flown back to total devastation. And I was working in various roles during that time, including in claims roles. A lot of people were filing all kinds of claims. That was an interesting experience. I was subsequently assigned to Headquarters United States Special Operations Command, which was responsible for special ops for all the branches of service worldwide. And that was, I just had some really great experiences. That experience at Special Ops at MacDill will always stand out in my mind. Later, I was promoted to Lieutenant Colonel and was so honored when the Judge Advocate General of the Air Force appointed me as a military judge. And I got to try courts martial all over the United States. It was an unforgettable experience. And I did retire after 23 years, trying to juggle that and my day jobs was kind of difficult. And I finally did retire. I want to thank every one of the individuals who helped make my military career a success. I hate mentioning names because I'm going to forget someone, but I do want to mention Chief Robert Slayton, God rest his soul, who helped me train as a young JAG in the ins and outs of military justice. Captain and later Colonel Tim Wilson, who helped steer me in the right direction on becoming a successful JAG. Colonel and now retired 13th Circuit Court Judge Gregory Holder, who was and is both a mentor and a dear friend. All of my staff judge advocate bosses, who were also mentors, all of my co-assistant staff judge advocates, and all the support staff, both active duty, reserve, and civilian at each office I worked in, I thank you. I wish I could name each of you individually, but time just won't permit it. Most importantly, my wife, who has always been a source of support for whatever I've done. Thank you. I thank all of you that are here tonight and wish you all God's graces and blessings.
All right.
Thank you. Thank you, Chief Judge Safey, Judge Soto, Dax, and Rick. Another round of applause for Judge Trawick. Fun fact, 14% of Florida's veterans reside in Sarasota.
Talking about Sarasota, Judge Lee Hayworth will be recognized by Sarasota County Bar Association President Dana Keene. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Braulio. We want to thank the Broward County Bar Association for giving us this opportunity to honor and recognize and highlight Judge Hayworth. Judge Hayworth came on the circuit bench in 1989. He's presided in all divisions of circuit court and served as chief judge of the 12th Judicial Circuit from 2007 to 2011. Since this ceremony is recognizing both service to country and community, I want to highlight a couple of the things that he's done for our community. Throughout his career, Judge Hayworth has shown a particular interest in helping litigants in our circuit understand and navigate through the court system. In 2005, he authored the video series Family Law in a Nutshell to educate pro se family law litigants on divorce, child support, visitation, and paternity matters. When the foreclosure crisis hit in 2008, Judge Hayworth continued his efforts to help litigants by creating the Homestead Conciliation Program, a mandatory mediation program which requires lenders to meet with borrowers facing foreclosure. His program was used as the model for the mandatory mediation program adopted by the Florida Supreme Court in 2009. From 2007 to 2008, Judge Hayworth led the community action team that restructured and reformed the 12th Judicial Circuit's foster care system. He was also instrumental in starting the Family Division Guardian Ad Litem program in our circuit in 2014, and he currently moderates Law in Sarasota, a public access show co-sponsored by our Bar Association. With regards to his military career, Judge Hayworth had been serving as a circuit judge for 2 years when in January of 1991, his reserve unit was activated for Operation Desert Storm. At that time, he was a lieutenant colonel and commander of the 199th Judge Advocate General Detachment in St. Pete. This unit was an international law team primarily charged with educating troops on provisions of the Geneva Convention as they relate to targets, treatment of prisoners and civilians, and the wounded. The Department of the Army augmented his team with Kuwaiti volunteers and ordered the unit to investigate war crimes reportedly being perpetrated by Saddam Hussein's Iraqi Republican Guard. Colonel Hayworth worked directly for General Norman Schwarzkopf's attorney out of Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, and was deployed into Kuwait City, then an active combat zone, to document the atrocities, collect forensic evidence, and identify the perpetrators. Upon liberation and completion of the mission in the Kuwait Theater of Operations, he returned to the Pentagon, where he authored the official war crimes report for the Joint Chiefs of Staff, the Secretary of Defense. He retired from the Army in 1994 with over 20 years of service. Judge Hayworth retired in August of 2015, and I'll kind of put that in air quotes because I don't think he's missed many days on the bench since then. He continues as a member of the Supreme Court Steering Committee on Children and Families in the Courts and is a member of the Department of Juvenile Justice's statewide advisory group. He continues to serve as a senior judge on the civil and criminal benches, and that is because he truly cares about the litigants in front of him. It's not an ego thing for Judge Hayworth. He's a very humble man, and we feel very blessed that he continues to serve as a senior judge. He's been recognized by the Supreme Court for outstanding child advocacy and service to the Guardian Ad Litem program. In 2015, he was the first recipient of the Supreme Court's Judicial Excellence Award, and in 2020, he was presented the Judge William Gladstone Award. He also received the C.L. McCaig Award for extraordinary service to Sarasota County Bar Association in 2017. Although I've never had the opportunity to appear in front of Judge Hayworth, I've had the privilege to work with him on several projects over the years. He is truly beloved in our circuit, and I'm really honored to be able to introduce him for this honor. So I will turn it over to him to say a few words.
Thank you, Dana, and thank the Bar Association for doing this. I was a little uneasy to accept this award because I guess I'm probably the oldest of all the honorees here. And as a senior judge, I did do 23 years in the reserves, but my unease is due to the fact that, you know, the military breaks down into two separate types of branches. You've got the combat arms folks, and then you got the combat support. And many of the officers and people that you saw at the beginning of this and that have been receiving awards are combat arms, and they're really the war fighters. That's not me. I was combat support. And because my career spanned from basically the end of Vietnam to 1994, obviously I missed 9/11. And so I feel a little uncomfortable sharing an award with the people who have been caught in a sandbox for these last 20 years. And what they went through was nothing compared to what I experienced. I mean, I was 45 years old when I was deployed to Kuwait Theater of Operations, but I'd spent basically 20 years waiting for Godot. And Godot finally showed up, and it was a surprise. I mean, it was kind of a distant event on the horizon for me. So for those of you who are being recognized today, you are my heroes because you were in close quarters with the enemy. Either they were shooting at you or you're within artillery range. And I respect that. And that's something that I never had to do. And I'm glad of that, but I certainly appreciate the sacrifice that you've made on that. The only time I fired my weapon in anger was on the shooting range when I couldn't hit the target. So I will say this about my experience in the Kuwait Theater doing the war crimes investigation. We collected a lot of prisoners, and they were held in detention centers, the enemy prisoner of war camps. And when we surveyed them and asked them, would you rather be tried in a Sharia Islamic court or in the military court of the United States? I think you know how they answered it. They were actually, we started out the operation with a plan to prosecute these folks like we did at the end of World War II, but the mission was changed in the middle of the stream because the Muslims didn't want infidels trying Muslims, and so they changed us into a documentation team. In any event, I have a great deal of respect for the folks that do this. I have a lot of respect also for the Geneva Conventions. We did try to educate our troops so we wouldn't repeat the experiences of My Lai during Vietnam, which was an embarrassment for the Army and a disgrace for our country. So trying to get those principles across, which are based basically on the concept of the golden rule, was very significant. And I think it wasn't a heavy lift compared to what you folks did over in Iraq and Afghanistan. But I think it was an important component, and it does reflect well on the rule of law, which all of us respect. So I do appreciate it when people say to me, thank you for your service. I like to say thank you for paying your taxes and supporting our military, because without you, without all of you, it can't be done. Thank you.
Thank you, Dana, and a round of applause for Judge Hayworth. Fact, Hillsborough has 10% of the veteran population in Florida.
Speaking of Hillsborough, now we go to Hillsborough County Bar Association President Corey Person, who will recognize Attorney Matthew Hall.
Good evening, everyone. I want to again just thank all the voluntary bar associations and Braulio and Courtney in particular for your work in putting this program together. I want to thank all of our sponsors for supporting this very, very worthwhile program. I'm honored to be the president of the Hillsborough County Bar Association and proud also to be a veteran of the United States Army myself. And it gives me great pleasure to present today my colleague, my partner, and my friend, Matthew Hall, as a 13th Circuit's Florida Patriot. You know, Hillsborough County is unique in having 10% of the veterans population here, but also being home to MacDill Air Force Base, which houses the 6th Air Mobility Wing, Central Command, and Special Operations Command here. It is also I think the largest VA hospitals in Florida, the James Haley Veterans Administration. So Matthew is a vet's vet in every sense of the word. He joined the U.S. Army when he was 17 years old as an infantryman. He excelled as a machine gunner and a gunner for the Bradley fighting vehicle and obtained the rank of sergeant under 3 years. Yes, so that means by the time he was 20, he was leading men in combat, men and women in combat. In 2003, Matthew deployed to Iraq with the 4th Infantry Division, earning his Combat Infantryman badge. After his honorable discharge, Matthew attended the University of Massachusetts Amherst for his undergraduate studies and later obtained his law degree from the University of Florida, magna cum laude. While at the University of Florida, Matthew led the Military Law Students Association and spearheaded the efforts that led to the creation of the first in-house scholarship for military veterans at University of Florida Law School. After law school, Matthew continued to give back to his community while being recognized for his leadership. Matthew helped shape and eventually became the chair of the Hillsborough County Bar Association's Military and Veterans Affairs Committee, which he co-chairs even today. And he helped establish and grow the committee's Veterans Legal Assistance Registry, which has been used as a model in many counties looking to provide pro bono and reduced rate services. A few years ago, a Florida Bar Journal article featuring Matthew referred to him as a go-to guy when veterans need help. And I understand he got a lot of phone calls after that article. But the people here in this community, as Judge Berlin pointed out, can aptly attest to this. When the Ybor City Chamber of Commerce wanted to create a military affairs committee, they asked Matthew to create it. When the local VFW needed little assistance, they came to Matthew, a VFW which now Matthew serves as the commander. When the local chapter of the Federal Bar Association needed someone to run their Wills for Veterans event, guess who? Yes, it was Matthew who answered the call. Matthew's done all this while being a very busy commercial litigator here at Hill Ward Henderson, a large full-service law firm here in Tampa. And the list of Matthew's accomplishments, quite frankly, is long. And the reason is because he believes in service. He doesn't do this for the accolades. And in fact, if I can share, he was quite surprised as being recognized as the Florida Patriot for the 13th Circuit. But he does it because he has a heart of service, and really he has a heart for veterans. And the thing he is most proud of, however, having accomplished all that, is being a great dad to his 9-year-old daughter, Cora, and his 5-year-old son, Trace, who are actually hanging out with us this evening. So with that, Matthew, it is my great and distinct honor to present to you the Florida Patriot Award, presented to Matthew F. Hall in recognition and gratitude for your support and service to our country and our community. I'll turn it over to Matt.
Thank you so much, and I appreciate Broward County Bar Association for starting this, and Braulio, and thank you for Corey Person, who I've served with here at this firm, and I've served with HBA on the board for many years. John Kynes is not here, but I appreciate his efforts as well. I couldn't have done this without the support of my law firm, Hill Ward Henderson. So they let me have these fun games as long as I keep my billable hours up. So, but again, thank you. I appreciate what you guys are doing. And my kids are here, but they don't want to be in the screen now. So there's my boy, and my daughter was the shy one over here. So we tried. So thank you so much.
All right, thank you, Corey. And another round of applause for Matt Hall. Our fun fact is 7% of Florida's veterans live in Orange County and 7% live in Osceola County, and that makes up the 9th Judicial Circuit.
And that is a perfect way to segue to Orange County Bar Association President Eric Reed, who will present tonight's award to Judge Jerry Brewer.
Yes, thank you for having us and having the Orange County Bar Association participate in this fantastic program. And we're here on behalf of the 9th Judicial Circuit to honor Judge Jerry Brewer. Judge Brewer is now a senior judge, retired but still working here in the 9th Judicial Circuit. An Oklahoma native, Judge Brewer joined the Marine Corps on December 13, 1967 and served until December 12, 1971. After his service in the Marines, Judge Brewer moved to Florida and worked construction, and later served in the Orlando Fire Department and as a firefighter before attending law school. Judge Brewer graduated from the Cumberland School of Law in 1980. He then went into private practice from 1981 to 1994 at Fox, Brewer, and Branson, and was then elected to the Orange County bench in 1994, where he served as a county judge until he retired in 2016. Judge Brewer was instrumental in starting the 9th Judicial Circuit's Veteran Court Program, an effort to coordinate the judiciary, the criminal justice entities, veteran services, treatment providers, and the community under one program that will reduce criminal behavior of our service men and women and restore them to a more productive life. Across the United States, successful completion of the Veteran Court has helped decrease the recidivism rates of its participants through the proper diagnosis and treatment of mental health issues. And as a result, supportive roles of mentors plays in the process. Judge Brewer is married to his wife of 50 years. She's a saint, right, Judge Brewer? And he has 3 children, Christopher, Casey, and Victoria. I would like to congratulate Judge Brewer and pass the podium along to him. Judge Brewer, thank you.
Well, I've sort of noticed that we were, most of the veterans that came before me today were officers. And let me just say, I proudly served in the Marine Corps for 4 years, completing that 4 years as Sergeant E5 here in Orlando. Gosh, I don't know how long ago it was, maybe 12, 13 years ago, when the chief judge came to me and my JA, Becky Bouchard, and asked us to start Veterans Court or get a Veterans Court up and running. And quite a big undertaking, but some amusing things that went along with it. For example, when we were holding our organizational meetings for it, I was speaking to a group who were interested in what we were doing, most of whom were veterans, and sitting out there was a general and several colonels and a lot of people that way outranked me in the Marine Corps, but they were listening to me. And then one of them managed to comment that sergeants ran the Marine Corps anyway, so it was normal and natural for them to be listening to me. But we had a good time with it, and I learned things. I don't know that all veterans feel this way, but I think most veterans believe that whatever war or dust up is going on during their service time, that was the big one. That was the one that everybody should pay attention to. And I came out after 4 years thinking that until I served in Veterans Corps. And I saw these young people coming back from Desert Storm, some of the things that have happened since, and seeing the damage that was done to them. Not damage you could see always, but damage nonetheless, both men and women. And it was an eye-opener for me. I no longer thought of Vietnam as having been the end-all be-all war. It was what it was. I enjoyed doing that, did it for about 3 years, and then we turned it over to Tina Caraballo, who's a county judge here in Orange County, who's a 10-year Army vet, and probably would disagree with me on most of these things. She and I used to argue as to whether an E5 in the Army outranked an E6 in the Army, or an E5 in the Marine Corps outranked a E6 in the Army. I finally got her to agree it did. And Tina and I are good friends to this day. She ran it for a while, and then it was passed on to another judge. I appreciate the award. It was unexpected. Kind of came as a shock when I heard about it. Being a senior judge, you just float in, do your thing, and then you go home and you don't really worry about the administrative aspects of what goes on in the courthouse. And I really didn't know what to think about it at that time. There was one funny thing I talked about earlier about the award, but I won't go into that now. And I appreciate it. Thank you all for being here and paying attention. And I certainly thank the Orange County Bar for the award.
Thank you, President Reed, and a round of Zoom applause for Judge Brewer. In fact, 9% of Florida's veterans live in Palm Beach County.
So next up, Palm Beach County Bar Association, Julia Wide, will recognize Judge Luis Delgado Jr. President Wida, take it away.
Hi, so it looks like Judge Delgado and I are the youngest duo so far. What we may lack in age, we certainly do not lack in gratitude. We are so grateful to be with all of you tonight. I want to tell you a little bit about Judge Delgado. He immigrated to the United States at the age of 6 with his parents and brother from Peru. His family worked hard to make life as good as it could be for what eventually would be 3 children. The ferocious work ethic and the high moral example of his parents set the foundation of the person Judge Delgado aspires to be. He attended the University of Florida for both his undergraduate and legal education. While at the University of Florida, he enlisted as a private first class in the United States Marine Corps, which next to his parents was the most influential part of his life. In the fall of 2004, while enrolled in the University of Florida's College of Law, he was recalled to active service and was deployed to Iraq with the 4th Air Naval Gunfire Liaison Company for Operation Iraqi Freedom. He was the non-commissioned officer in charge of motor transportation operations and provided combat support for an area covering 16,000 square kilometers of hostile territory, and he was decorated for his combat service. Upon his return from Iraq, he resumed his legal education at UF and became a prosecutor in Palm Beach County. He was actively involved in his community and the local bar. He is a president of the Young Lawyers section of the Palm Beach County Bar Association and a former president of the Palm Beach County Hispanic Bar Association. He was a member of the Board of Governors of the Florida Bar Young Lawyers Division. All the while, he served on the board of directors of nonprofit organizations that work with children and veterans issues. In 2016, he made us all proud and was elected to the Circuit Court of the 15th Judicial Circuit, and he currently presides over juvenile dependency, juvenile delinquency, and unified family court matters in Delray Beach. He presides over a diversion program designed to keep children out of the court system in conjunction with Inlet Grove High School, as well as frequently visiting elementary schools to teach children about the court system. We admire him for his service to our country and for the exceptional ways he continues to serve our legal community. He never hesitates to volunteer for any project or request we have. I have personally had the pleasure of watching him excel in all areas of mentorship. Whether it's a troubled child making bad decisions and appearing before him in his courtroom, or a young lawyer struggling with career or personal issues, he is their bright light, shining the way toward a better path. He is an inspiration, and the Palm Beach County Bar is so proud of you, Judge Delgado.
Thank you. That's very nice of you. I'll echo what everybody said, and thank you very much for this honor. And it is very humbling, especially when I hear about some of the great service of many of our jurists and legal practitioners in this community and throughout the state. There are 2 events in my life that I think have been of incredible importance. One is my immigration. I am so very thankful to be an American. And the second is my enlistment in the United States Marine Corps, which did more to love what I think is the greatest nation that has ever existed. When you're 5 or 6 and you're immigrating to America, I remember talking to my dad, and he asked me if son, do you want to go to America? Conversations in Spanish, of course. And I remember thinking, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Because when you're that young, at least for me, the United States was, Mickey Mouse and Ronald McDonald and all the things that children love. I'm a 40-year-old man now, and I'll tell you that I think the things that I love about this country are our Constitution, our rule of law, and the promises made in our Declaration of Independence. And again, my gratitude for learning all that, not measurable. And so when I was 18, I was a straight A student. I was good at sports, and I did well on all the standardized testing. But when the staff sergeant was walking the hallways, and he pulled me aside and he asked me if I'd ever thought about enlisting in the United States Marine Corps. I remember, for the gratitude that I felt, I was like, yes, absolutely, absolutely. And my career in the Marines, I was enlisted. I was a non-commissioned officer. I was a corporal and a sergeant. I got hurt, not combat related, but before I deployed overseas, and there was something wrong with my eye. I almost lost my eye, and I had to get a lot of treatment. And I think the doctor meant well. I really do. I think she'd seen enough reports about, some of our men and women coming back or not coming back. And she told me, she said, I can write this up so that you don't have to go overseas. I can do this so that you can be done. But I didn't even think about it because I would never have been able to look myself in the mirror ever again. And so when she said if I was sure that I wanted to go overseas, I said, absolutely, yes. I'd been training with a bunch of guys, and I knew that it was the right thing to do, and I knew that we'd all counted on each other. And so I got to go overseas, and I got to do some incredible things for the United States. It's a blur, and it's crazy about some of the things that I can remember. I got to work with, well, because it was an Anglo unit, it was air naval gunfire. So we coordinated fire with all the branches of government and the foreign services. And we were a hot ticket because up until September 11th, 2001, that mission had been going away. So there's only 2 units in the entire country that could do that. And we were one of them. And so we were a hot ticket. And we did see a lot of deployment for a very long time. And because we were such a hot ticket, I got to work with the 10th Mountain Group ODA, which is the what's called Special Forces or Green Berets. We were attached to them. We were attached to the Navy EOD out of Washington. We were attached to what was then called the Coalition of the Willing, all foreign services. It was an incredible experience. I was assigned as a marksmanship instructor to the Iraqi National Guard and Police. It was, in retrospect, there's nothing that I could ever do to repay my gratitude for the United States. And when I was over there, I got to do these things. And instead of, feeling like I was making it square, I feel like I owe a greater debt of gratitude to this country. I just told you that I'm a 40-year-old man, and that the things that I now love about this country aren't the trivial things, but our rule of law, our Constitution, and the promises made in our Declaration of Independence. And so it's important to talk about those things. I'll read it, but we hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they're endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, and that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. When I was overseas, I got to live that. I got to spread the light of what is the United States overseas. I don't talk about it often, but I'll tell you one story about my deployment, and it's something that I'm incredibly proud of. But if you remember, in the early 2000s, there were those stories and there's pictures all over the newspapers, on the internet, of people holding up their fingers with purple ink on it. Well, so the very first time that Iraq had democratic elections, I was on a quick response force, because we were so concerned that there were people who didn't want the population to have a free election. Some of the stuff that we were hearing was that we were concerned that people were going to be targeted at the ballot box, that polling stations were going to be blown up or attacked. And our job was to ensure that none of that happened so these people could have a free election. And to this day, when I see those pictures, my heart really swells with pride, because I remember talking to some of these people and they'd never voted for anybody that wasn't Saddam Hussein. And the people who could remember were so elderly that when they would come out, they would just, give you a thumbs up. These are things that they hadn't done in decades. And we do these every 2 years, every 4 years. Again, whenever I can, I tell you that our freedoms and our rights are absolutely precious and sacred, and they should always be appreciated, because it's not like that everywhere in the world. And so that's something that, again, when I think about what I was able to do for the United States, I feel like my debt of gratitude only got greater. I know we talked about the service currently on this bench, and this is a very sacred and solemn duty, and I love it. I feel like I do get to still uphold that rule of law in a very different way, wearing a different kind of uniform. But there's nothing that I've done or nothing that I will ever do that's ever going to repay this debt of gratitude that I have for these United States. And so just like when I was 5, and just like when I was 18, and just like I told that doctor, as long as I'm able to, whenever our state, our country, and our community asks for someone to do something, absolutely yes. There's nothing better than these United States. And so thank all of you for your service, and thank you for this incredible recognition. I've been humbled by the stories of everybody's service.
Muted. Thank you, Julia. And we've already applied it for Judge Delgado. Very good words. Fact, Escambia has 13% of the veteran population.
So continuing with Escambia, we go to Escambia Santa Rosa County Bar Association President Garrett Laborde, who will recognize Judge Gary Burgosh.
Hi, everyone. Good evening. Again, my name is Garrett Laborde. I am the president of the Escambia Santa Rosa Bar Association, and it is certainly my honor, and I want to pay a little bit of gratitude and acknowledgement to those who organized tonight's inaugural event, among them Braulio Rosa in Broward County, as well as our executive director, Jeff Nall, and all of the wonderful affiliate strategic partners at the different bar associations around the state. I'd also like to thank President Tanner for his attendance, and President-elect Lesser for his attendance as well as all of those dignitaries who've joined us tonight. I would also like to add to the importance of the veteran community by quoting another statistic with respect to the First Circuit. And while I'm the president of the two-county Escambia Santa Rosa Bar Association, the award we are bestowing, of course, is for the First Circuit. I would point out that as a percentage of population, so in terms of density, Escambia County has 13.2% of its population as veterans. Santa Rosa, a little higher, 14.3%. But Walton, 17.7% of its population are veterans, and then Okaloosa, 10.7. So if you add all that up, you see that the statewide average of 7.6% of our population being veterans is considerably concentrated in the First Circuit, given the size of our and number of military installations here. President Tanner, I know, can relate because of his son-in-laws and many Naval and Marine Corps aviators having started their career in aviation here. Tonight, it's my honor, I should say, to recognize Judge Gary Burgosh as our recipient. Judge Gary Burgosh was raised in a Navy family and attended elementary, middle, and high school here in Pensacola. After graduating from Pensacola High School, he attended Pensacola Junior College and then the University of West Florida. While in college, Judge Burgosh worked as a Teamster with United Parcel Service. After graduating from the University of West Florida, he attended Marine Corps Officer Candidate School, where he earned the commission of second lieutenant and then married his lovely wife, the former Carissa Borders, also a native of Pensacola. Judge Burgash attended law school at the University of Memphis while continuing to serve in the Marine Corps Reserves. After law school, Judge Burgash again entered active duty with Marine Corps and served 3 years in Okinawa, Japan, as a prosecutor and as a defense attorney. After leaving active duty with the Marine Corps, Judge Burgash and Mrs. Burgash decided to return home to Pensacola to raise their family, whereupon he became a prosecutor for the First Circuit State Attorney's Office. Judge Burgash, upon his return to Pensacola, has also served as a senior litigation attorney for the federal government, a reserve United States Marine Corps combat arms officer, and a member of the Escambia County School Board, where he was appointed by Florida Governor Jeb Bush in November of 2000. Judge Burgash's Marine Corps unit, the 4th Assault Amphibian Battalion, was activated on January 27, 2003 to fight in our nation's war against terrorism. Judge Burgash served as the battalion's executive officer in Kuwait and in Iraq during Operation Enduring Freedom and Iraqi Freedom. And he was nominated for the Bronze Star Medal and subsequently was awarded with the Meritorious Service Medal for his service in Iraq. Judge Burgash was elected to serve the citizens of Northwest Florida as circuit judge in September of 2006. In September of 2010, he was appointed to serve the citizens of Santa Rosa County as the administrative judge for the county. Judge Burgash has widely been known and is credited for presiding over the Escambia County Veterans Court since January of 2018. And his impact upon veterans who come before the court is widely acknowledged and serves as a tremendous benefit to our communities. He also serves as the chair of the First Circuit Pro Bono Committee. Judge Burgash and Mrs. Burgash are the proud parents of Alexander and Benjamin Burgash. This is recorded. You can show that to them. Judge Burgash is active in his church and community. And as an Eagle Scout, Judge Burgash is the Pensacola Bay District Chairman of the Gulf Coast Council of Boy Scouts of America. A judo brown belt, he is trained with the Armed Services Judo and Jiu-Jitsu Association aboard NAS Pensacola with his 2 sons. As the son of a 100% service-connected disabled veteran, my father, who passed away about 1.5 years ago, it gives me great honor, as well as the grandson of his father, who served in North Africa during World War II under General Patton. It gives me great honor to be able to be here tonight to award Judge Burgash with the First Circuit Florida Patriot Award in recognition and gratitude for your support and service to our country and community, dated November 8th, 2021. Congratulations, Judge Burgash.
Thank you, Garrett.
You're very welcome.
Wow, that's
Thank you.
amazing. Thank you very much. It's very heavy. Wow. Well, thank you very much for this recognition. It's very humbling, to the Escambia County Santa Rosa Bar Association, to the statewide associations. Very humbling. I accept the award on behalf of all the veterans that I work with, that I serve. It is very humbling. One of the things I'd like to start with is, my own personal journey. I was adopted at 10 by my father, who was enlisted in the United States Navy. And I got a chance to live in Japan, and like some of our other speakers, you get an opportunity when you live overseas, not only just visit, to get a flavor of how great our country is. And while Japan probably has the 3rd largest economy in the world still, I can tell you this: unless you're incredibly wealthy, your standard of living is nowhere near what it is in America. We're blessed with large land, and no matter who you are, if you work, even if you don't really work hard, you can have a nice house and a lot of land. That's not true in a lot of places. Again, I want to, thank my veterans and remind our Marines. There's quite a few here tonight. Marine Corps birthday comes up on November 10th, and of course, Happy Veterans Day on November 11th. I do have some statistics I'd like to share with folks. If you're 75 years of age and older, 42% of the males served in the United States military. 1% of the females did. If you are between the ages of 65 and 74, 29% of the males served in the United States military, and about 1.25% of the females did. If you're between the ages of 55 and 64, 13% of the males served in the military and 1.83% of the females did. I'm 54, I'm in the next category, but just barely. If you're between the ages of 35 and 54, 8% of the males served in the military and 1.5% of the females did. And finally, if you're 18 to 34, 3.17% of the males served in the military and 0.72% of the females served in the United States military. Why do I tell you these statistics? When I was the executive officer of the Marine Corps Battalion, who has companies in the headquarters in Tampa and also in Jacksonville, Gulfport, Galveston, and Norfolk. Amphibious assault vehicles give the lift to the United States Marine Corps. They're armored personnel carriers with a 50 caliber machine gun and a Mark 19 machine gun grenade launcher. But I had these battalion men in here, and most of them are 18. I was 35. I turned 36 right before the war started. I asked them to raise their hand. I said, raise your hand if your dad's a doctor. And as you can imagine, this 700-man battalion, no disrespect to the ladies, it's combat arms, and women, unfortunately, at that time were not allowed to serve. No one raised their hand. I said, raise your hand if your dad's a lawyer or your mom's a lawyer. We come from that family. No one raised their hands. I said, raise your hand if your dad's a police officer, your mom's a police officer, or a firefighter, or in the military like I was. And quite a few raised their hands. There is a disconnect between the active duty forces and the reserve forces and standard society. As of October, if you look at the census, 333,500,000 citizens of the United States. Let's just say there's 15,000 other people here in America, maybe more. You add that up, that's 350 million people, 17.8 million veterans, which falls by 1,000 or more every single day because we're losing the World War II and the Vietnam generation. So if I do rough math, about 5% of the 5% of the population served as veterans. Again, it's incredible to me because these deployments that our young folks have gone on, 5, 6, 7 deployments, it's wearing them out. It's stressing them out. It's causing PTSD. It's high rates of medication because of injuries with drugs that didn't exist generations ago, which can be good, which also can be bad. So it has been my incredible pleasure to serve as a veteran treatment court judge. We call it vet court here. But there has been a saying, while America went to the mall, Americans veterans went to war. And I do think it's something we need to think about. I love my veterans. I love young people. Anybody that raises their hand when they're 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, like I was, and they agree to serve their country, let me tell you this, unless you're incredibly sophisticated, at that age, there's pretty small amount of guile in you. It's real easy when you're 50 to try to raise your hand to be a judge or a politician or seek some position like that. But when you're 17 or you're 21, you've got a pure-hearted person that wants to serve. And I think we need to remember that and honor that. And we need to make sure we take care of those men and women who have done so. Incredible to me, there's 24 circuit judges from Escambia, Santa Rosa, Okaloosa, and Walton counties. I tell my friends who don't know where I live, it's Pensacola, Gulf Breeze, where the UFOs used to be, right? Destin and, Fort Walton Beach and Niceville. They all know Destin and Sandestin. But I am the only circuit court judge who served in the United States military. It's incredible to me that that's the case. But I would tell you this, if you're an employer or you're in a position of power and somebody applies for something, I can tell you this because I've seen the veterans and they come to court. They feel like their service is marginalized. When they go to seek a job, they go, well, tell me, I'll just use myself, Mr. Burgash. Well, yeah, I served for over, almost 25 years in the United States Marine Corps, 8 years on active duty, been around the world. And they go, yeah, but tell us about your real world experience. So I think we all should be sober and think about that. So again, I'm very thankful that you recognize veterans here. But it'd be an incredible statistic. I don't know what it is, but I'd love to know what the number of veterans are in the judiciary of, 599 circuit judges, 300 county judges, and, the appellate and the Supreme Court. I do think about this. You spell love T-I-M-E. I tell my jurors when they come in, I have the veterans raise their hand. I said, the only time you give time to your country today is either military service, which has been voluntary since 1973, or jury duty. So I try to make them think about that because we do have a great country and we take it for granted. So What we do is very difficult as judges. What we do in the legal community is very difficult. Everything is contentious, but we have a great country. And if you've traveled or if you've served or if you've lived overseas, you know how great this country is. But I'm glad that the bar has taken time to recognize veterans. I'm incredibly honored. The most proud I am of my life, I'd like to echo what others have said. The marriage to my wife 31 years ago, and my commissioning in the United States Marine Corps in 1989 at the age of 22. Those are very, very sacred to me. I worked with some Kuwaiti interpreters when I was in Iraq, and one of them asked me, and I'll just leave you with this because I think it's incredible for us to think about today. They said, Major Burgash, are you conservative or are you liberal? I said, look, I'm a classical liberal because I like to ask why, and I love to be educated, and I love my country, and I read. But obviously I'm conservative. I've shaved my head, maybe against my will because I don't have any. But I'm conservative. And he said, you know what, Major? He goes, every American is a liberal. And they had been to America. They were Kuwaiti and had money. They said, you believe that all men are created equal? And I said, I 100% do. And they said, you believe women are equal to men? And I said, I 100% do, because I've got a mom, I've got a wife, and I 100% believe that in the core of my heart. And he goes, believe me, every American is a liberal. So guess what? We've got a great country that has great values, that values individuals. And like Martin Luther King Jr. said, we don't value people based on the color of their skin, but on the content of their character. And that is the greatest of all things in this country. And it's rarely found anywhere else in this world. So I'm incredibly proud to be an American. I'm incredibly proud of the service I had. It was my honor to serve. I'm honored to serve as a judge. It's another service and another uniform. Again, I'll steal those words from Judge Delgado, but it's fantastic to be here. Thank you so much, Garrett. Thank you for your all's time. God bless you all. Have a great evening.
Thank you, Jim.
So thank you, Garrett, and thank you, Judge Burgash. This is going to conclude our program. Thank you for joining us at our inaugural Florida Patriot Honoring Legal Leader Veteran Service to Country and Community event.
A special thank you again to all the organizations that were involved and made this a statewide effort. Thank you to tonight's honorees. You are what makes America great. We hope to see you all next year at our second annual Florida Patriot event. And remember the Navy's unofficial motto, no CB said Patriot, not for self, but for country. God bless you all. God bless America. Good night.